Hey, what's up, everyone? Thank you so much for checking out this video here on Show Style and Spirit. I am Ebony, of course. As you can see from this video, I am recapping the latest episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville. We have made it to the middle of the season, episode 15 of season 6. So it's been like a really brief 3.5 months. I feel like time has flown by. And I think that that is a result of the first half of season 6 being pretty good. We got to see more about business. And also we got to see more conversations and less just always just ratchetness as well as drama. So I definitely appreciated that. And for everyone catching out the replay, hello. Thank you so much for catching the replay. I ask that you all please hit the like button on this video. It will cause more people to get exposure to my content. They probably have never heard of this channel, so definitely hit the like button. I would appreciate it so much. And if you have not already done so, please subscribe to Show Style and Spirit. I do a variety of content, of course, TV show recaps, reality TV star interviews. I talk about my natural hair journey with my dreadlocks and so much more. So thank you all for being here. What's up, 41 Fit? I appreciate you. What's up? Happy Sunday indeed. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and jump right on in. The episode opens up with where episode 14 left off, which is the morning of the Black Expo, and Stormy gets there early to set up. She does have quite the scene, but she wanted to make it attractive to people. I totally get it. And Marceau took issue with that. He was like, where's your $100 fee, especially for you to have this big display? But again, Tish and Marceau, they did not give any sort of outline to the vendors on how much space they would have, how much to bring to decorate your particular space at the vendor event. So this is on them, another show of them being unprofessional and disorganized. But we're supposed to take you serious as business owners and entrepreneurs, right? So Stormy totally did not like the way that Marceau came at her. She felt like he came incorrect. And I definitely agree with Stormy. She told Marceau, don't you ever come at that way with me again, ever, because you don't want to see Courtney. Then Marceau knew that he had effed up and he had pissed her off. He said, okay, I'm checked. You have fully checked me. And he was like, are you feeling bad? Because Stormy said, I have orders to fulfill at my warehouse, but yet and still I woke up early. I came out, no makeup done, to set up for this event. And here you are coming to me the day of asking for $100. And yeah, he approached her like a bill collector, like he was going to repossess her hair products or something. So Marceau, in my opinion, allegedly, he is definitely a BAN, and this was definitely giving BAN energy. And that is why he pissed Stormy off the way that he did. All right, so moving right along, I do want to point out again from the end of episode 14 that Tish was too shamed to go to Stormy and ask for the $100. She said, I'm not going to do it. She walked up once she saw that Stormy was pissed, rightfully so. And then, Tish, she instantly gets offended. She didn't like it when Stormy said, y'all so unprofessional to ask for a vendor fee the day of the event. Tish was saying, don't say all, don't say all. Well, or y'all. But Tish, to become one flesh, you and Marceau are married. The two of you were putting on this Black Expo. So yeah, it would be y'all. Y'all are unprofessional. I totally agree with Stormy. Did y'all agree with Stormy as well? I have a feeling that we are all on the same page. So then I just want to give you all some visuals. This was obviously before people took their seats to hear the speakers. And then the vendors were on the around circling the chairs, where they were going to hear the speaker. So it looked like it was pretty nice. I feel like the vendors, they actually brought the flavor with the displays that we saw. I thought that it looked pretty nice. It was basically like, a vendor event. And so we also saw where Marcus was going to attend with Melody. I'm glad that Melody was going to have someone there with her. Not to say that Martell would try something, but I'm just glad that she had that support, because especially it lets someone know who would love to try and bully you or disrespect you, that you have someone who loves you and they are accompanying you. And I always feel like Marcus gives that energy to Melody. He's that big brother almighty. And that's definitely the energy that he gives. So I just wanted to point that out. And then we see a couple of things. So when Martell first arrives, he actually sees a gentleman who runs a mentorship program. I thought that was a very interesting vendor to have at the Black Expo. I'm glad that the gentleman was there. I remember he had long dreadlocks. I didn't get the visual, but instantly Martell thought, I'm thinking about my brother Montez. He's going to come to this event. I'm so glad. He would be great. He would be the perfect candidate basically for a mentor. So I thought that, that was good for Martell to have that sort of mindset, to be thinking of his brother. What did you all think? Like, you always want to have hope for everyone, that anyone can change for the better. It's never too late. I definitely agree with that. And I just hope that there's an openness, right? An openness for change, positive change. And I do wonder, did his brother sign up for the mentorship program? So then we see this lady that Martell is chit-chatting with. Now, she is a vendor at the Black Expo. Her business is actually providing natural not childbirth, but like birth control. This lady that's talking to Martell, she specializes in natural birth control. Her line of products is shocked Martell. He didn't know how to respond, and he quickly brushed her off and walked away. I thought that was hilarious. Then we see where Tiffany and Lou arrive, and you all know that the Scotts just don't see it for Lou and Tiffany. I think that they can't deal with Tiffany being so direct in her questioning. I know sometimes that she can cross boundaries and be annoying, but I think that Marceau has sensed that Tiffany is smart and direct and will ask direct questions. So I think that's why they're turned off by them. And they learned that the very first season that Tiffany and Lou joined the show, when she was questioning their relationship. What's up, Dee? I love Melody's brother Marcus. So do I. So Marceau even said in his confessional that he was shocked to see Tiffany, especially when you're 9 months pregnant. That just lets me know that he, was relieved that she was pregnant and was going to use that as his excuse not to ask Tiffany and Lou to be involved in the Black Expo. Because Marceau knew that Tiffany would probably take over the speaking portion of the event, especially when he was stumbling and mumbling and didn't know what to say. And he just didn't want to look stupid in the presence of Tiffany and Lou. And she's a female too. That's totally what is Marceau's deal. So then, y'all, we see where Marcus and Martell have a conversation. And Marcus says, I just want to see where you and Melody are, how things are going. And of course, Marcus already knows the answer to this question, right? He knows that Martell is trying to take full custody of the kids from his sister. He already knows that Martell is on that BS, allegedly, and in my opinion. So Martell says, things are what they are, but, hopefully as time goes on, Melody will let her guard down, let those walls down. And then I think that it could be, even better, and hopefully with your support, that can happen. Marcus was like, what do you mean support? And then Martell goes, support for your sister. And he goes, oh, okay. Because Marcus was like, please don't think that I'm going to support any initiative that you come up with, Martell, that would only serve you. You must be crazy. So Marcus wanted him to clarify, and he said, oh, support for your sister. One thing about Martell is that he really doesn't try to be too disrespectful of Marcus. There's some sort of, hint of intimidation there. Also, I think that he is jealous of Marcus because Marcus is so stable and he has multiple streams of income. Isn't he? I know he's a realtor, and I believe he is an educator as well. Then he has his spouse, and I assume he's working. Marcus is always traveling. I think that Martell is jealous of that financial stability and then the closeness that Marcus has with with Melody. And I'm sure anyone, who would want to be a manipulator, a bully, a cheater, he probably gets annoyed that Melody has both her loving mom and her loving, supportive brother to encourage her and remind her that you are worthy of respect. You didn't do anything wrong to deserve to be cheated on. So I'm sure that Martell resents Marcus for those reasons. Even to the fact where the cameras gave us a little caption when they stopped talking and they walked in opposite directions. Martell said, Marcus is so immature. And then in his confessional, he was cursing when he was talking about Marcus. And I just think that he probably feels like, the people who love Melody are the reasons why she left him. No, Martell, you're the reason that Melody left you. D says, it appeared they had to bleep out some derogatory names Martell called Marcus after he left him. Absolutely. I agree. I just hope that they weren't any slurs, because that would not be cool at all. So then we see where Melody is surprised to see her brother-in-law, Montez, or former brother-in-law. She totally was so warm and loving towards Montez. When she introduced Montez to Marcus, she didn't even want to call him her former brother-in-law. And she said, Montez, this is my brother. Melody was totally warm and open with Montez. She wasn't funky or stank or none of that. She had nothing but positive things to say regarding Montez. The total opposite of Martell when he spoke in his confessional about Marcus, and when we saw Martell acting a fool at the kid's birthday party a couple months back, the way he shouted at Miss Van. Melody moves total opposite when it comes to Martell's family, Montez. And she spoke about how, she hadn't seen him in a long time. She became emotional. She said, I'm just so glad to see you. And she was seeing him in a positive environment versus having to see him over a negative reason. And she said that over the years, she would try to encourage Montez, give him encouraging words to make the right choices. So she was very happy to see him at the Black Expo. And I just thought that was a very loving, touching moment. And hopefully, Melody being so kind towards Montez, hopefully that encouraged him to stay on that right path. And D says, Martell was afraid to actually speak on the panel once he found out Melody was there. So he decided to just be the mic guy. Yes, D, you are in my head and on my pieces of paper with my notes. We are definitely going to go there. What I want to also point out in the picture in the lower right is Stormy. So the Black Expo is happening. She's at her display and Stormy gets a phone call. I believe that it's Courtney. Courtney is letting her know. Let me go to my notes. Courtney let Stormy know that they're having a major mislabeling issue. First, he says, we've ran out of labels. I noted that Stormy asked how many labels. There's no way you can be short. Courtney says we're short 126 labels. What an odd number. You're not short 100 labels. You're not short 95 labels, 126. That was so odd, in fact, that Stormy said, did you all put the labels on the wrong product? And Courtney said yes. She said, oh my gosh, she said, that means you have so many products with the wrong label on them. And she gets so worried. She's cursing. And she said in her confessional, I'm starting to regret that I even came to this Black Expo. So y'all, there's so many things to pull out from this issue. Number one, regardless of my opinion on Stormy, it's clear that she has an organizational problem as well. I feel like the difference between her and Marceau and Letitia is that with Marceau and Letitia, it's very much so more visible, it's easily visible. With Stormy, I think that her business endeavors, they're packaged beautifully. And it's once you're in the thick of it, once, placing those online orders, allegedly, from what people have said, it could get a little sticky. Not the product itself, but just, there's all these operational issues. So I kind of feel bad. I have compassion towards Stormy because I could sense her stress. And I am guessing, I would bet money if I was a betting woman, that the day that Black Titanic and her friend went to the warehouse, shout out to Black Titanic, I'm sure Stormy, she had some misplaced anger and took it out on Black Titanic because she was probably having operational issues that day, allegedly. So it seems like, Stormy really has to like figure out how she can fix all these major holes, because that is literally, that's a lack of product knowledge when your own staff puts the wrong labels on a product. Now, thankfully, as far as I know, Canvas Beauty does not sell perm. They don't sell relaxers. Cause oh my gosh, that, like, if I don't believe any of her products have like major chemicals in them, because that would be scary to think that you're buying one thing and you're picking up another because the staffers accidentally mislabeled them. Do y'all see where I'm getting at? Like, it could potentially be very dangerous, but I don't think that she is selling anything that's like super duper chemically, just made up a word there. So D says Stormy needs to invest in more skilled labor at the warehouse. I totally agree with you, D, because this is like definitely a major issue. And another thing that I want to say is that you could sense that Stormy did not have total confidence in her team, because she was so apprehensive. Even to be there that morning of the Black Expo to set up, she was almost moving like she had a bad feeling, like her spirit told her it was going to be disastrous because she wasn't there at the warehouse to micromanage everyone. I don't even think that she had total confidence in Courtney to manage the staff at the warehouse without her. So I think that that speaks volumes. And it's not anything that I celebrate in. I feel bad for the girl because it seems like she may get a little overwhelmed. And this totally backs what I have been guessing for several weeks now, that her number one priority are those retail store orders. And then when individuals shop online and purchase her products online, that's kind of like secondary. And this totally supports my theory on that. So then we see where Tiffany walks over to Stormy, and it probably was a relief to Stormy to see Tiffany, because she got to vent and say like, oh my gosh, I just got off of the phone and learned that my staff mislabeled several products. And Tiffany was like, was it the whole batch? And then they're talking about, and then Stormy's like, and to add on top of that, Marceau had the nerve to ask me for $100 fee this morning. I didn't even know about the fee, but yet he's approaching me like I owe him and I didn't pay something. And I also want to point out that in Marceau and Letitia's confessional, they were hella shady. Marceau was, when he said, yeah, well, pretty much all the vendors except for one paid their vendor fee. Letitia goes, or two or three. So that lets me know it's either, they were inconsistent with collecting the vendor fee, which I think they were. And then I'm also guessing a couple of those vendors may have been friends of theirs or relatives that they were just going to let them not pay, which I think business wise, that's silly. I think it was a little nepotism going on. But I just found that interesting that there was this discrepancy on like a couple of people who hadn't paid the vendor fee. Was it just one, like Marceau tried, or Letitia saying, or two or three? Like, I feel like there was some major inconsistency. What's up? Let me see. I didn't want to skip over Virgo Energy's comment. Okay. D says Stormy needs to donate her $100 directly to one of the nonprofits who were at the Black Expo and let Marceau and Tisha know that's what she did. I know that's right, D. What's up, Virgo Energy? Thank you so much for being here. I don't think it's about not having confidence in her husband. It's just the nerves of a small business owner. You just feel you need to be there, or the world will end. It's normal. Okay, that's a normal feeling of anxiety when you're a small business owner. Got it, Virgo. Good evening, Shayna. Thank you so much for being here. I remember you from Friday night's chat. I enjoyed you so much. Letitia meant that neither of their businesses, chocolate in a bottle or black paid. Okay, all right. So including Stormy, 2 plus 1 equals 3. Gotcha. Thank you so much for pointing that out. And then also let me back up. Tiffany felt away. She sure did, baby or not, because she said, they didn't even ask me. They didn't ask me to speak. And I know I'm smart and I ain't no fool. And they didn't even ask me. And we're going to get more into what they did ask her in a few moments. Bear with me. What's up, the review hour? My girl, y'all definitely check out her content. Subscribe to the review hour. She did an excellent video on Kiki and how everything, they're just going to come at her when the show returns in September. Oh, what's up, Virgo energy? Yes, hello, my girl. All right, so y'all, I had to do this image of these fools behind the silhouette getting ready to talk. They couldn't go through, there wasn't another entrance to get to the backstage. This just looks so low budget. Y'all remember the movie Cooley High? Remember when they were at the movie theater and there was a fight behind the screen? There was a fight behind the screen and then they bust through and ripped the screen. That's what this reminds me of. It reminds me of Cooley High. My brother used to love that movie. He's 18 years older than me. He used to love it. That was his favorite one. So that's how I know Cooley High. But that's what this scene reminds me of. So then, y'all, they are backstage. And Martell, with his silly self, now we're on your comment. So he's all peeking around. He's looking for his ex-wife so that he can ride on her coattails. And he sees Melody take a seat with Marcus. Not only is Martell tripping because he can't ride off of Melody's coattails and all her wonderful sound bites that she would give to the audience, but Martell seemed a little nervous that Melody would be like a spectator. She was going to be watching. And so he decided, I'll just run the mic. I'll run the mic because I'm sure they had microphone stands where you would just sit them on either side of the aisles and let the people form a line and come up and ask their questions. But no, Martell had to run the mic. Okay, Martell, because we know that you have absolutely nothing to contribute meaningful to the conversation of business. And there is a lot more that we have to talk about regarding their conversations. This scene was the embodiment of the whole expo, tacky and low budget. 100%, it was giving Cooley High, that silhouette. What's up, Miss Reese? How you doing? Thank you so much for being here. So I just thought that was interesting how they were trying to get it together. Letitia even said in her confessional that it was embarrassing. Yeah, girl, y'all had a lot going on, okay? So I want to talk about some things that they discussed. So number one, we know that Carson posed her question about if, what's your advice to new entrepreneurs who have little money saved up and bad credit? And then Maurice talked about how he once had a 406 score, but he worked on his credit and he was able to become an entrepreneur. We're still not totally clear. We never see him counsel potential clients. We never hear him talk about he has to go to court. We even heard Phaedra talk about that. We saw Phaedra, meet up with people who had WEED charges and had to go in front of the judge. And we know that she did represent Bobby Brown because Bobby Brown in his book said he felt like he was going to jail on whatever day the firm sent Phaedra. So at least we saw that. But with Maurice, we don't have a clue about him practicing law. But he was basically saying, and I agree with this, credit, the credit is not definitive. It can always be worked upon. When I wrote mortgages and I'd have to deny people, unfortunately, I would tell people, your credit is not definitive. You can work on it and get with someone who does credit repair. This gives you more time to save up for a down payment. Don't make them feel horrible about themselves. Life does go on. But what I also want to talk about is there was a gentleman who walked up to Martell in his mic and asked, what advice do you give for people who want to start a business and they may want to go through VC or venture capitalist? And Marceau said, well, VCs, I just want regular investors. But am I answering your question? Is that what you're talking about, how to invest? And then the guy said, yeah, somewhat. Like, do you recommend VC? Like, what are your thoughts on it? And I just want to say, I've only had one girlfriend who is an attorney that did work at a venture capitalist firm, but I just know that it's basically private financing versus you going to a bank to get like a business credit card or a business commercial loan. You would get private financing from investors. That's my extent of my knowledge of venture capitalism. But Tiffany could totally peep that Marceau didn't have a clue on answering the gentleman's question about venture capitalists, if he had recommendations on a firm to go to or what the first steps are. And Tiffany called that out in her confessional. So I know the girl may be annoying sometimes, but one thing she ain't is a dummy. And I'm pretty sure that Marceau realizes that he can't get over on Tiffany. That's why he really don't want to with her, like at his expo. And Tiffany totally would have just annihilated Marceau if she was sitting on that panel. She would have said, oh, well, Marceau, I have background in venture capitalism and I actually raised 3.5 million for my business. And so to answer your question, sir, you do X, Y, and Z. And Marceau, he would have just been annoyed that Tiffany was knowledgeable on something that he was not, although it would have benefited the man who posed his question. So that lets me know that Marceau and Maurice, they operate from a place of pride because you'd rather not put Tiffany on the panel and involve her in the Black Expo so that she can actually educate all these Black folks who are coming in because they want to improve themselves financially and enhance their businesses. But you're too prideful and you want to make it just about the core six so you don't involve Tiffany. So I just feel like that was just some BAN-ness. I don't think Marceau realizes that I don't know that much about that topic is also an option as against embarrassing himself, hemming and hawing like hee-haw. I agree with you, Virgo. And I'm going to say this too, very briefly. It's like a sidebar. Because like I've taught like Sunday school like to the first graders before and worked in children's church, and that's one of the first things that folks will tell you at church. Don't tell them you don't know. Tell them you just get back with them. Like nobody wants to admit when they're not well versed on a topic, and all that does really is just creates more insecurity versus you being secure enough to say, I don't know about that. But let me see if someone else out here, we have Tiffany and Lou, they're not on our panel, but maybe do you all have some knowledge on venture capitalists? And then have Mike run or Martell run the mic over to Tiffany so that she could have answered the gentleman's question. But when you have a lot of pride and you're an insecure man, you're not going to, let that knowledge be shared with the world. Yes, good afternoon, Benny. Things not to display as professionals, especially if the entire reason for the expo was to inspire, encourage, and develop potential entrepreneurs. What a bust. I agree with you, Benny. What's up, Southern Bella? I love that username. All right. So I just felt that that was very interesting and such a disappointment. I hope that the gentleman by now has gotten some more information on venture capitalism. So we see, I have the screenshot of Carson posing her question and Maurice answering her. We did talk about that. And then also, before I get off of the expo, Kimmy came late, y'all. So I didn't bother getting the visual of Letitia and Maurice talking. Maurice said that Kimmy was getting her radiation treatment. Maurice did not clarify or specify if anyone was with her. So I don't know if Kimmy went alone. He said that it makes her very tired. So did she drive herself or does she catch an Uber to like the hospital, then Uber back to the venue? Maurice, I was a little concerned after hearing you tell Letitia how radiation wears her out and you're not with her, you're her husband and y'all are expecting her to come there and speak. And Letitia was like, Yeah, but she'll be sitting down. She'll be sitting down while she speaks. It was like they did not even care that Kimmy has to get her treatment. Like, Kimmy, girl, you literally can do better all by yourself. Because these folks around here, girl, they do not care. That just tripped me out. It's like, and Letitia was so hung up on getting that core six, and you missed out on everything that Tiffany could have contributed to the conversation. And then you made Kimmy, who's in the middle of radiation, participate. And then Kimmy even told Melody, girl, they got me in the corner. They got me in the Rosa Parks section, way in the back, because Kimmy is a realtor. So I would imagine that would have been her opportunity to try and get, potential home buyers. But I mean, realistically also though, she was going through her process. So I just felt like that whole thing, that was just interesting. Let me go back. Southern Bella says, Martell made me mad trying to control Mel's whereabouts. He's obsessed. Virgo Energy says, Marceau would never have asked Tiffany Lou, maybe, but never Tiffany, simply because she is a woman, and as such cannot be as smart as almighty Marceau with the titties, 100%. And that's such a shame that chauvinism is literally holding him back, right? And now we're seeing that the chauvinism is affecting others, those who attended the expo. What's up, love, Key? Thank you so much for being here. I no longer give about Kimmy and the lack of care and empathy she receives from Marceau or his family. Kimmy is too busy wanting to be the perfect wife to her own detriment, so she'll be fine. I know, she's literally not putting herself first. And it's a slow burn, and it's sad to watch. Yes, indeed. Y'all may have seen my video where it was like, and some people said, no, I don't think Maurice was at that toy party, but I felt like that was the beginning of her and the friend allegedly, working on her taking that lady's husband. Because from what I heard, from the way I listened to that point of the reunion, it sounded like it was a co-ed party. And that was the beginning of her saying, yo, who's that? And the friend Pat, was like, oh, that's Maurice. And then, the rest is history, as they say. So then the expo was over, and I felt like visually it was pretty good. It was a vendor event where you go shopping, but they also had a panel of speakers. But so Stormy goes home. Her and Courtney recap about the disaster with the labeling. Again, I feel so bad, and I could sense the stress. And then she tells Courtney, and also Marceau approached me about $100. And Courtney even said, what's $100? Why was he tripping like that? And Stormy's like, I know. And she's like, you gonna talk to him? And Courtney said, oh, I can definitely talk to him about $100. Courtney definitely did not seem scared. And I think he instantly got it that no man should have been approaching a woman. But we all know that Letitia was too ashamed to ask for $100 because she knew that it was tacky and unprofessional. And then also in this scene, we see from Courtney him saying, and I feel like in the beginning of season 6, we did see this scene again where Courtney explained, I don't want any more kids because, you lost so much blood. The doctor was literally dumping it, like he was just dumping some water, and it sounds like he's open to having another kid, and perhaps they may go through a surrogate. So that could be like their season 7 storyline. We'll have to see. But, I always feel like it's amazing that you can use a surrogate to have a baby. We've seen it on the Real Housewives of Atlanta and even some of their friends like Shamia. But, that'll be something interesting to see. Virgo says, Kimmy doesn't love herself enough to treat herself or show people how to treat her. So I can no longer be emotionally invested in her well-being. If she likes it, I love it. And that makes sense, right? Like we teach people how to treat us, and you can't love anyone until you love yourself. And these are messages that we hear all the time. So it may sound cliche, but it is totally the truth. It's not necessarily cliche, but it could be like seeds that are constantly being planted in us. And it's up to us to water them so that they grow. Kimmy wants to be super wife to Maurice at her own detriment. Okay, I did read that. All right. Have you noticed that Kimmy always changes the tone of her voice when talking to the men of the cast? Her voice becomes childlike. Does it like a high pitched squeal? She definitely has more energy for women than she does for men. Even Martell's IG live last night, and she was like, I catch a lot of heat for you, Martell, but I'm going to have to look out for that, the review hour. Thank you for pointing that out. Yes, and it is irritating as also Virgo picks up on it too. Y'all are so observant. Martell had suits from tonight's episode at the wedding a few weeks ago. Oh, that wedding that he attended with Coleslaw, that was like the same suit. Southern Bella says she's so male identified. I agree. And it's so fascinating to me because, Kimmy is at least 50. And ideally, it just, which don't get me wrong, I'm not calling her old. I can't stand it when women say so and so old. Sometimes they'll be older than the person that they call old. I'm not saying that. The only reason why I bring up Kimmy's age is because I do feel like as time goes on and the older you get, there is this freedom that you experience of not giving a F and no more people pleasing versus like when you're raised, you're growing up and your dad is strict, or you grow up in a traditional home and where the your mom may be submissive, your dad is like, the tough guy, like in my family. So then you're taught at an early age to people please. Then you go to church and your church family is all in your business and judging you, how you look and this, that, and the third. So you learn to people please early on. And all it is other people's projections onto you. But it seems like once you hit like late 30s, 40, you start to shed all of that. So I just assume that Kimmy at her age, she's fully shed of the people pleasing and the wanting to meet other people's expectations of having a man and being married and all of this. So for her to be so male identified now, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't calculate for me. As a single woman, you raised a Black man who graduated college, and as far as I know, no criminal record, no kids all over town, and no wife in sight. Like, why would you be so male identified now and put up with so much BS now? I don't get it. I hope Courtney is a little more forceful than if Lou has been with Marceau and his gang, not physically, just verbally. I hope so too, Dee. And I do think that he's going to get in that ass a little bit. Marceau is going to try and be disrespectful in the second half of season 6, coming from the man who sells hair care products, trying to emasculate him. But that's $1 billion industry. Women love to buy beauty products, Marceau. And your wife is in the business. So if two become one flesh, literally you are selling hair care products also, sir. So shut up. What was bleeped out that Martell said about Marcus? We don't know. I'm hoping that it was not a slur, but it was something very nasty, I can tell. She is too old to be that thirsty, especially around this group of people where she is closer in age to their mom's ages than theirs. It's embarrassing to watch. I feel you 100%. All right, so then we see this scene, y'all, where Tiffany and Stormy, they're dragging in Tisha's face and they're dragging in their confessional. So Tiffany decides to plan like a brunch. Like I'm sure Letitia was assuming that it would be like an afterglow of the Black Expo. But no, baby, it was not an afterglow. They were like inspectors. They had come to inspect the Black Expo and they were getting ready to write Letitia up for all the violations. So let's jump right on in. So Tiffany, she lets Letitia know that she felt a way, that she was not on the panel to speak. And Letitia was like, well, I didn't really know what you do. I didn't know what you do. So Letitia, how long have you been filming with this woman? And is that Cap? Do you know what she does? That's why your husband didn't want her on the panel. He didn't want a woman to outshine him. And then Stormy, goes, well, didn't you raise like 3.5 million? And Tiffany says, yes. So Letitia, you claim to not know anything about Tiffany's work experience. However, Stormy knows. Okay, girl. And then she's like, well, I knew that your husband was an entrepreneur, but I didn't know what you did. Yeah, so you at least knew that her better half, her husband, is an entrepreneur. Why wasn't he at least on the panel? So they were just being some haters and didn't want the Whitlows on there. And then Tiffany goes, but I was also invited last minute, but then you asked me to be a sponsor. They are so bootleg and unprofessional. So, Letitia, if you wanted a sponsor, you should have asked Tiffany a few months back, as soon as you stole the idea from Melody at y'all's very first planning meeting, when Melody said, are y'all going to get sponsors for your event? You should have been on the phone with Tiffany then, since you wanted her to sponsor. So obviously you don't suspect that she's too broke. You figured out she had some money where she could sponsor your event. And then just inviting her last minute, y'all don't F with the Whitlows, but that's okay. Hopefully, Tiffany isn't dumb. I'm sure she knows, a fake $3 bill when she sees one. Kimmy needs to leave Maurice and go into business with her son. That sounds like a great idea. He said Courtney sells hair care products to women and that Mel sells t-shirts, is an actress and a model. Both of them have way more money than him. That was a failed flex. I agree, Virgo. Such the lazy read. Oh my gosh. Where was Mel in this scene? I know. Well, Melody did have performances with Eric Bellinger. So she had to go to Boston the very next day after the Black Expo. So that's why Melody was not in this scene. I had no problem whatsoever with Stormy flexing and giving Tisha the same, you ain't got enough to come for me energy she gave Destiny. Was it team too much? Yes, but I was okay with it. Oh, I was totally okay with everything that Stormy and Tiffany gave Letitia. I felt like they totally had it coming. If you're going to put on such an important event that could really benefit the community, why half step it due to your pride and jealousy? That's just so lame. Letitia always plays dumbfounded. Word, that's true, Miss Reese. You're absolutely right. He never finishes a project satisfactory. He runs off before completing projects. He's such a pig. She knows, in my opinion, Miss Reese says Letitia did know Tiffany's work experience. I believe you're onto something, Miss Reese. Miss Reese said, I was here for it too. I know. Stormy dragged. In her confessionals, she said that it was overbooked with vendors and that the decor was junior prom. So I don't know if they went to the dollar store or Party City to decorate or what, but that is what Stormy said. So with the whole overbooking of vendors, so that was definitely to collect as many $100 fees as they could. And according to Stormy, it must have been kind of cramped, or they perhaps had, more than one vendor that's within the same industry at the event. For any of y'all business owners who do in-person vendor events, I do both in-person vendor events for Bedroom Candy and virtual parties on Zoom. But they won't say I'm Bedroom Candy, I'll do a vendor event. They won't have someone from Pure Romance be there. I'm going to be the only one from the adult toy industry. Does that make sense? So when Stormy said in her confessional it was overbooked with vendors, I instantly thought of them trying to collect that $100 fee from as many people as possible. Then also I was thinking, oh wow, I wonder did they have multiple people from the same industries there? I saw in the footage, I saw what looked like a baker, she had her desserts in the cute little plastic packages. I wonder, did they have multiple bakers or people who make candles? Did they have multiple? Because I could totally see Marceau and Letitia not thinking that way. You would just have one vendor from each type of industry. I could totally see them not giving a AF. But I'm sure there were no other people selling champagne. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure there were no other club owners there promoting their spot like Black. You know what I'm saying? So those were my thoughts when I saw Stormy's confessional. And I thought that was very, like, that was very observant of Stormy. Letitia has been on this show with this woman for 3 seasons now, and she doesn't know what Tiffany does, but everyone knew she got fired from the Chamber of Commerce. Very good point, Ashley. Yeah, they knew that tea, but didn't know nothing else. You're right. Dollar Tree need a $100 fee. I know that's right, Southern Bella. Yes, and what's up, Ashley? Thank you so much for being here. Thank you all for being here. Facts. Yes, indeed. So I thought that was interesting. I'm glad that they let Letitia and Marcel know because they literally thought that they were doing something. Wasn't it a great turnout, babe? Like, y'all. And then he had the nerve to say, let's take it on the road, do pop-up shops. So he thinks that he's going to like come all over to our cities and we're going to all shell out $100 fees to sell our products at their event. They just clean up the money. No, sir. Tisha had her products competing with Stormy's. Benny, good point. Good point. So we know that there was at least two from the hair care industry. Yeah. See, vendor events that I do, they don't play that. That's another reason why they ask for the fee way in advance before the event happens, because they're keeping up with who is what from which industry. Letitia is intimidated by anybody that is doing better than her. She gets amnesia real quick. Had Melody been involved, the dimensions would have been outlined and the fees would have been outlined in a timely manner, etc. I agree. My aunt used to be a vendor and main stage speaker at Bronner Brothers, and this was a far cry from professional. Tisha really doesn't know what she's doing at all. Someone on another live was actually at the expo and said it was disorganized and very packed, that Stormy helped a lot of vendors set up and answered all their questions. Oh, Stormy is a team player. She's passionate about business. For her to help others, she is passionate. Y'all, please hit the like button. It would help out my channel so much. And thank you for the review hour for posting that. I appreciate you. They need to do one every day of the week with all the lawsuits. Girl, I know, the pop-up shops. Right. I know. And see, and they'll never talk about the lawsuits. Never. And that could be learning experiences too, because Maurice sat on that stage and said he's failed at every business that he's tried to start. And I'm not even gonna, like, that's not a drag or a read, because even Dr. Heavenly from Married to Medicine, who is a smart woman, she can be messy, but you definitely can't call that woman dumb. She said that she's had businesses that didn't work out. Like when she said this on her YouTube channel before, like when she did that dating app Peak, she said it didn't go anywhere. She's tried doing rental properties, which I can't imagine having her as a landlord. And her probably cursing you out. But yeah, that's normal if it doesn't work out and then you find another business to try out. You know what I'm saying? There are usually compulsory vendor meetings at least 2 weeks before the actual event to answer all vendor questions about setup and anything else they may need. That expo was a clown show at best. I totally agree. But it's like the delusion for me and them trying to like pretend like they just know so much. And then y'all, we know that the second half of the season is going to be like back to the toxicity. And they're going to be ganging up on Kiki. I did a video about it. I have visuals from the trailer. I just did visuals all around like a collage, and then I played the audio just to avoid the OWN network having a problem with my video. And like literally Kiki is going to be carrying the second half on her back, like Drew will on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. So I just hope that Kiki keeps a strong mindset. And Kiki, if you were to ever see this video, don't care about people judging you in your past. They cannot talk about anybody. They can't talk about you. And kudos to you for even being brave enough to be on a reality TV show, to share your story of addiction with us and your recovery. I admire you for that. And just don't let them get inside your head and get to you at all. So we're just going to have to ride this out with Kiki and definitely encourage her. So I feel like it's going to be rough. At the end of this episode, we also saw the extended trailer with, Kiki throwing the water on Tisha. And then Marceau is going to say, call the police. Really, Marceau? You a black man going to say, call the police on a woman for throwing water? I know that that's your wife, but I just feel like, people can do more than that. And when you call the cops, you're a coon, you're an Oreo, you're all these problems for calling the police on a black man. But you ready to call it on Kiki because she threw the water at your wife? I just think that's some BS. But Kiki, you can just say your defense was you thought that was some toner, some facial toner, and you thought Letitia said she wanted to be refreshed. And so you just kind of, you thought you were misting it on her. No, Letitia was not competing with Stormy. Stormy was competing with her own products. Letitia was using Stormy's products. You right about that, Patricia? Very good point. Label wise, it looked like two separate products in the same industry at the expo. Kiki's husband looks like he's going to give Marceau the business he doesn't want. I totally agree with you, Southern Bella. Absolutely. Let me scroll on up so that I do not miss anything. I know that's right. Me too, Miss Reese. I am Team Kiki. I do feel like I missed a couple comments. Let me go up. Carlos makes me sick by not bringing it on the show, but brought a private child custody on as a storyline for Martell. Well, we know he's definitely biased. And as a producer of a TV show, I think that a good producer has to eliminate the bias and let the organic storylines play out. And just like he encouraged Melody to remain on the show when she was leaving her husband and encourage her to share that journey with us, you need to encourage Marceau and Letitia to talk about the real on this show as well. A doctor was live on a podcast earlier displaying how Marceau failed her. She was trying to use a black contractor, but unfortunately chose Marceau. And I'm going to go back and watch that video. I was in the middle of doing things all day. That's why this live was kind of like later in the evening. But I'm going to go back and watch it because I was on there to show support, but I couldn't really focus. And I just feel so bad. So I'm going to go back and watch it and learn what happened. No, okay, I read that. All right. Kiki's husband looks like, yep, I read that too. Okay. So let me go back up. I think I am caught up. Let me go back forward. Not one of those people on that stage, other than Stormy, had any business being there in the capacity that they were. Not one. I agree. If there had been a panel on business with Stormy, Tiffany, and Melody, oh my gosh, that would have been popping. It would have been giving like Charlie's Angels meets an MBA graduation. Like it just would have been amazing. My soul wasn't going to call, Marceau wasn't going to call the police because they would have locked him up for all the dirt and stuff that he does. Word. Marceau's a Karen. That's why you're right about that, Relly. And what's up, girl? Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, 100% he's a Karen, a BAN. So BANs and Karens, they're like first cousins or siblings. Absolutely. He said, call the police and something about being a drug addict. That was BS. Marceau is trash. Yeah, ain't it some BS when like people, they learn about a mistake or a setback that you've had. And every time that you speak up for yourself or they disagree with you, they're going to bring up that mistake. But just know that that is a lazy read. And if that's all that they can come up with, then they're on some BS. And they know that you're right and they're wrong. If that's all they can bring up is your past mistake. And that's all that Marceau has. He is a jerk. I do not like him. Yes, what's up, Relly? He runs to the popo every time he has a fist fight. He got a restraining order on Martell. That's right. That is right. And who wouldn't talk to him about it? Melody. Well, yeah, Martell couldn't have because he had the restraining order. Right. The popo is coming from Marceau stealing. Oh, I know. And you know what? like that's why I want to go back and really focus on that video, and shout out to Anthony Lofties for exposing like the bullying and the mistreatment. I What's disheartening is that like people will try to bully and take advantage as if there is no God watching who will not be pleased with that and will make things right, or as if there's no law to protect the person that was bullied and scammed. The law is meant to make us whole. I know that the law has holes, but some people move and operate as if they can just do what they want. They can do all the wrong that they want and never get caught. And it's very infuriating. Sometimes it feels that way, but then you have to believe that things are going to come full circle. And that young lady, I'm going to watch that interview right after this, and I just hope that she gets made whole. Allegedly, I can see why Candy was saying how Carlos is in doing business. It proves right here. Oh, I definitely can see it 100%. And I love me some Candy because of her business sense and her hard work and accomplishments. I'm still confused why Martell is allowed to film after a potential workplace sexual misconduct with Revenge P. And I appreciate you, Ashley, for misspelling the words that would just trigger Miss YouTube, okay? Karens and bands are definitely related. They are. They go to the same family reunions and everything. They are the same. Remember when they had the meeting of them coming together and Melody was saying that she didn't think she was going to come? T-shirt and my soul was in confessionals. Tisha was saying we need Melody. She sure did. She sure did say, because they need her marketing. Even Maurice pointed out that it was silly for Martell not to sell his iNest wine at the expo. Like, we're having this large turnout and it's about vendors. And he was like, clearly Melody was like the marketing genius. And, it annoys me when the Core Six, they always compare to times when Melody and Martell were together. But they do point out that Martell basically was doing so much better when he was with Melody. And they basically point out that Melody was the brains behind all of their success. So, and that's also like a drag. If y'all watched my video last night on Martell's Instagram Live, they always like do really shady subliminals, and Martell would just giggle. I'm like, is he pretending like he doesn't see where they're shading him? Because they shades him. When Marceau said, Martell loves to be married, but he really wants to be single, his pronouns are I'm single. Like, Martell, he's calling you like a low down cheater. You know what I'm saying? Kimmy's looks embarrassed about Marceau telling about his broke bank accounts and no assets ours. Exactly. Marceau is always trying to show up women challenges a man, dude. I know. He feels comfortable disrespecting women. When doesn't Kimmy doesn't look embarrassed, it's her permanent face. She's always holding her breath around the men. I feel like Kimmy, like she seeks out validation in men. I think what Maurice said is that Mel is a marketing genius, not was. Yes, I was saying in the past tense, like when it came to her and Martell's endeavors together, she was the marketing genius behind everything that they did together. Martell is embarrassed, and he should be because he's had time to get his ish together and stop harassing his ex-wife. But that's too much like right. Absolutely, really. He is embarrassed, and he should be. Absolutely. And I think that's why he like cannot stand Marcus. Because Marcus, I think, kind of looks at him like, Negro, you're not effed up right. Martell has little to none business acumen, 100%. Houston is experiencing a huge uptick in STDs. Wrong place to have this group go for a summer vacay. Girl, allegedly, and in your opinion, girl. I don't know how Martell doesn't know how much they shade him. It's crazy. How slow is he really? Calling him Martell Rogers is a big insult to him, but he needs friends so badly, he had to laugh. Maybe that will be Kimmy and Letitia's wake up call when they start burning. Yeah, like, and then even the second half of the season, it's giving that perhaps, it's true about the rumors that Marceau and Letitia may be separated because, Melody says, yeah, and she's going to leave your A. And then, Kiki is mad and she brings up the name that they bleeped out that allegedly Marceau is having the affair with. It's just like sometimes it seems like the dots are connecting. It would be amazing if Letitia and Kimmy had wake up calls. But she was cringing even more when he was talking. But if anybody wants to come up and sound off your thoughts on this episode, what did you think about the Black Expo? If you attend vendor events, what are your thoughts about them? And then them just omitting Tiffany when she has so much knowledge. What did you all think about all of that? I know for sure that I'm going to, again, watch that interview that Anthony Lofties did today. And there was some other videos that I wanted to make. If y'all kicked it with us Friday night, we were talking about, of course, it was about coleslaw. And then y'all were saying like, yeah, Amy Fisher back in the day, obsessed. And then we talked about Betty Broderick. And I looked up I've watched part 1 of that Betty Broderick movie. I rewatched it. It's free on Lifetime. Yes, she drove her car into the front of her husband's house. She was just off the chain. She would break in and he had restraining orders. She didn't care. And the kids are totally divided on whether or not Betty Broderick should get out of prison. 2 feels like she should stay in there, and the other 2 kids feel like she should get out. He hates that snooty smile Marcus gives him. Yes, Miss Reese, so it's not just me. Marcus gives Martell a smirk, and I feel like that just burns Martell's bridges. Why did Tisha look so preggo last night on that? I know. I'm thinking maybe she had just ate, but then they were talking about ordering food. So I don't know what the deal was. See how they make fun of him, Hotel? They're not his friends. Absolutely not. Probably fluid buildup from not getting proper aftercare. Oh, Asia girl, you did not come to play. That's an alcohol belly. I used to be a liver transplant nurse, and their stomachs usually look like that. Interesting. Like you think it was because they were out there kicking it. Maybe she had like some, so it kind of poked out. Black Expo was not genuinely for the community and probably not a genuine idea from Tisha. I think it was given to Tisha for a storyline and she tried to pull it off. Whole thing low vibrational. Yes, Felicia, you bring up a good point because we know that Carlos King did ask the core 6 to come back together to try and regenerate like those season 1 vibes. So yeah, literally Carlos King did hand give them a storyline. You're absolutely right on that. But like with Letitia, he made Letitia and Marceau be the leaders of the event versus like Melody. And now we know Tiffany. That is also true. She doesn't take care of herself. I wish I could show style and spirit, but I'm at a dinner enjoying my me time. Enjoy your dinner, girl. I always take myself out for dinner, drinks, to the movies. Good evening, Sheila. Thank you so much for being here. Miss Reese loves to laugh. In that green confessional, she looked preggo. Oh, even in the confessional on the show, you thought she looked preggo too? But I don't, well, Martell joked on that live last night and said she is pregnant and it ain't Marceau's, and then that's when they were dragging him saying, yeah, and he wants to be married again, but still stay single, act like he's single. It was Mel's idea recycled, right? And they wonder why Mel didn't want to attach her brand to the stage of losers. I would have told them, get someone else to do it too. Same. She said she would not want to be back in business with her ex-husband. And see, Martell was hoping Melody was going to be on that panel so they could walk out in twos because it was kind of looking coupled up. And then, of course, Stormy walked out by herself. And he would have totally wanted to walk out there with Melody. Number 1, obsessive to pretend like they're still married. Number 2, to write off of her coattails. And you pretty much, go along with her sound bites, which would have been amazing. It's funny how Tisha had so much smoke for Mel that she came to one of the events in t-shirts and sneakers when everyone else was dressed up. But with Stormy coming for her, she booked. Yeah, she did get up and go from this scene. She could not take the heat because they were both giving it to her, giving her the business. Meanwhile, Melody's class spots have been selling like hotcakes, and her skincare is raking in the dough. Absolutely. Earlier in this season, we learned when Melody did like the staff meeting, and they said that, in the first few months of you launching Seventh Avenue, you sold seven figures worth of product. That's amazing. That is amazing. Usually, like you learn in an economics class, that a business just breaks even in the first 1 to 2 years. So to be profitable so early on, that defies odds, and that is a financial blessing all at once. And it speaks to the way that Melody markets, and the way her audience is so supportive that they not only watch the show, but they buy her products. Martell doesn't want to admit that he failed in his wine business. I'd rather have Marcus on stage. Me too. Yes, loser. Absolutely. I love the Seventh Avenue Sugar Scrub and Body Oil. Oh, that's awesome, Southern Bella. I'm glad that you enjoy. Yes. So if nobody wants to come on up and give your thoughts, then I will go ahead and wrap this up. How's everyone's weekend going? I saw Mission Impossible Thursday night. I thought it was good. Tom Cruise was even looking good in the scene when he was walking through the airport with his suit and his shades on. The review hour says Martell wants to be connected to Melody so bad. I think he is finally waking up out of his stupid dream and realizing that he lost it all, his worst nightmare. That was written so poetically, the review hour. You need to like snippet that, and you need to verbally say that in a video, girl. That was so poetic what you just wrote there. He lost his mind pulling out his wedding ring. Oh, I know. That was like psycho. And then I'm so glad that Melody, she cleared that up, that that was a ring that she had gotten from him in 2008. And he said during that live, him and Kimmy, that he is not married. But we all knew, I knew he was not married. He wouldn't marry Coleslaw. That's not enough financial support. She would rely on him. That's enough to get a restraining order. Word. I'm sure, like, definitely if they weren't on the show, she totally would have the restraining order. But, God watches over her, and they're filming. She's thinking about her family, providing for her kids, and seeing the bigger picture, and definitely putting her faith in God, walking by faith, and he's keeping her safe. Thank goodness. Yeah, so any last thoughts, or is everyone satisfied? So y'all let me know. I know Friday night some of you all were saying you would come kick it with me to talk if I went live about Love and Marriage Detroit. I know some people ain't fooling with it because you don't fool with Carlos. I get it. But I can plan on, going live within the next couple of days, relatively soon, to talk about it, because it's ridiculousness with some of the men over there as well, with Brandon and Christina. She needs to wake up as well. Like, she doesn't even deserve her, in my opinion. Well, y'all, but this was great though. I enjoyed the conversation as usual. I do ask that y'all please hit the like button on this video. Then it will cause more people to see this video and, check out my content. And if you have not already done so, please subscribe to Show Style and Spirit. Then, you can get to see more of my content. I'm going to review the second half of The Real Housewives of Atlanta because I can tell it's going to heat up. And yeah, I'll definitely continue to talk about other shows as well. Carlos is so silent. You can hear a rat pee on cotton. That's so funny. Yes, that is very, very true. He won't speak on the revenge pee, but he literally has done videos on Bell Collective. He even reviewed the fight that happened amongst the cast of The Real Housewives of Potomac. He has done so much, but he has not made a video about the revenge pee on Love and Marriage Huntsville. I do not understand. Even if he filmed a short and he said, myself and Own and Kingdom Reign, we do not condone revenge pee at all. You just acknowledge it, my goodness. He lost his mind pulling out. Oh yes, I did read that. Yes. Yep. Oh, thank you, Benny. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you enjoy the commentary. I watched the episode twice. I take notes. I try to provide visuals, especially for people who may not watch the show or you may not have the means to. It kind of almost puts you there. He refuses to say anything against Martell. Yes, and that bias is so alarming. And it's even spilling over to the way he's treating Miss Van by not showing her on the show. It is just so unfair. Thank you so much, the review hour. I'm glad y'all have enjoyed the commentary. All right. Well, if all hearts are satisfied, y'all, I will go ahead and end this here. And please have a great evening and a great week. And I'll talk to y'all soon, sooner than later. Bye.